Hello, and welcome to our webcast. I'm Amy Pendergrass with Moss Adams, and I'm going to get us started for today's session, Tackle Your Winery Management Challenges with Technology. We're pleased that you've joined us today, and before we begin, I'm going to play our housekeeping video.
Welcome, and thanks for joining. We're pleased to present our continuing professional education webcast series. Before we begin, please keep the following in mind. You can customize how you view our presentation and interact with the presenter. For better viewing, close all other applications and turn up your speaker volume. You can adjust window size and placement or enter full screen mode using the controls at the top right of the window or dragging the bottom right-hand corner to resize. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a series of icons that relate to a different aspect of our session. You can download a PDF of today's slides from the Slide Deck and Handouts widget. You can ask questions by typing in the Q&A window and clicking Submit. We'll do our best to answer all questions or follow up via email. If you experience technical difficulty, refresh your browser by hitting the F5 key. Today's session offers 1 CPE credit. To receive credit, you must meet the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy requirements. You must attend at least 50 minutes of the session and respond to at least 75% of polling questions. To participate in the polls, please check the button next to your answer within the slide window and click Submit. We'll track your progress and alert you when you've earned CPE credit. You can then click the certificate icon in the CPE Progress widget and download your CPE certificate. Don't worry if you can't download your CPE certificate today. We'll email you a copy in 2 weeks. If attending this webcast in a group, you must complete our group CPE attendance sheet, available in our Slide Deck and Handouts widget to receive credit. Please have all group members sign it and send only 1 sheet per group. CPE credit can only be awarded to participants registered as themselves and isn't available for participants who view the on-demand version. This presentation is not legal, investment, or accounting advice. We encourage you to seek the counsel of a professional service provider to apply this content to your specific circumstances.
All right, we have great speakers from Moss Adams who will be sharing their expertise on this subject. We have with us today Michael Parker, partner in our strategy, technology, and operations and enterprise systems consulting, and Bill Vyenielo, senior wine, beer, and spirits business consultant. Their bios and contact information are located in your console for your convenience. And now I would like to turn the floor over to Bill to get the presentation started.
Thank you, Amy. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking time out to join us this morning. I want to start off just a quick overview on what the learning objectives are for today's webcast. Number one, we're going to be summarizing the challenges that winery managers often encounter when they're dealing with data and information. We'll identify some of the causes and the impacts that they have, and also talk about some of the potential solutions. And then lastly, we'll be explaining how our wine industry group and our technology team work together to help winery managers apply technology to streamline work and overcome challenges. So the real purpose today in this webcast is to really highlight the common challenges that winery management teams face in accessing data and information that they need to really effectively perform their job and really keep the company competitive. And we'll identify some potential solutions offered by available technologies and discuss how our team can help address these challenges. So as independent consultants, we have the advantage of being able to give, unbiased information and advice to our clients. And we're looking at managing a winery. Some of the things you have to always consider when you're in a management position, whether that's one that's looking across the entire company or you're leading a specific department, you have to think about how to most effectively, efficiently utilize the company's resources. And we'll take a dive into each one of these critical business segments. So look at customers, look at your own internal people and processes, some of the considerations when you're looking at your operations, and also finance. We'll start off with what are the expectations and needs that you need to consider when you're a manager as when it comes to dealing and working with customers and prospects. So some of the things you in today's world really want to have a website that's very easy to navigate. You want to have mobile device access. I think that some stats I was reading, if you have more than a 2-second delay in connectivity to your website, about 80% of the people drop that link. So really important to have a really smooth, easy to navigate website that's informative. You want to have good information about the product, the story, the causes that you support, really what are the kind of the overall vision for your company, and also what experiences are you going to be able to deliver to someone that comes to visit you. And then we all use email heavily, text even more so nowadays. So the expectation is that you're going to be very prompt in replying to any customer inquiries. And the other thing that's given the economy today, a lot of uncertainties, people are increasingly price sensitive. So it's very easy to shop on the internet nowadays and compare prices on a given product. So really being aware of your pricing and how competitive it is important. Consumers also are expecting to have more options when it comes to choosing the wines that they buy. The days of just offering somebody a standard web club or wine club offering, say, here's what we're offering you. Customers are really turning more and more to saying, I want to have more of a personal choice, personalized offering. And when it comes to ordering, they want a really smooth ordering process. So minimize the clicks, minimize the amount of time that it takes to get to the point where they can order, and avoid surprises when they're in that shopping cart. And when it comes to placing an order and getting delivery, maybe we can thank Amazon for the next day delivery or delivery to your doorstep within 2 days. So the expectation is that interval between the time they order your wine and the time it's going to arrive is really short. And during the process that it's en route, they want to know, what's the status of my order? Is it en route? Do I have a tracking number? When is it going to arrive? And when it does arrive, they like to receive a notification that it has. And with existing customers, they expect that you know who they are, what their preferences are, what their buying history is, how long they've been a member. So all these things point to having a really good CRM, customer relationship management system, whether that's a software or just a system you have in place to really be able to reach out very effectively to your customers. You know, these are sort of top of mind things for someone managing this area of the business. Now, if we think about the business environment and the considerations of how to effectively use your company's resources when it comes to the employees and your company's workforce, we're dealing with a very tight labor market. It's really record unemployment right now. And in line with that is rising expectations for compensation and benefits. So do you have strategy and policies in place to really ensure that your compensation and your benefits are competitive? Do you participate in compensation surveys so you really know what the market rates are that you need to be paying to retain and attract really key employees? And the other thing is we're really seeing an evolution in the type of skills needed. A lot of emphasis on the ability to analyze data, and that applies to every single function in the business, whether it's operations, sales, marketing, finance, really critical skills, and they're in high demand. And then since the pandemic, we have the remote working environment, and also just with technology, the evolving technologies that we have at hand, whether it's from mobile device, the ability to remotely access information from wherever you are. If you're a winemaker that might be away from the winery on a marketing trip, or someone that needs to check on finances in the middle of the night because they have a loan approval they're waiting on, the ability to remotely access information is really critical now. And so with remote access and remote working, you've got kind of related HR compliance issues to you've got family leave to be considering. You've got data and equipment that's offsite. So you have data security issues. So all these are things that managers, especially the people within the company, you have to be thinking about, how do I outsource or how do I tap some of these online HR resources? And we're seeing a real trend in that direction where they're going and signing up outside HR services to help maintain compliance. So the next area is really looking at operations. And again, how are we going to effectively, efficiently utilize the resources to meet the needs of your operation? So the pandemic put a spotlight on the importance of eliminating any of the kinks in your supply chain. Luckily, the backlog or log jam of shipping containers at a lot of ports around the country is lessening. So now if you really developed and maintained good relationship with your vendors, or maybe even increase the redundancy or have more suppliers on hand, so if one can't deliver, the other one can. So you want to have the ability to really plan forward and monitor the progress of the delivery. So hopefully barrels arrive on time before harvest, glass arrives before bottling, just the ability to really forward plan. Technology is available to help streamline the supply chain and really help improve your vendor management. Inflation, we're all dealing with that. Being able to identify potentially where can you increase your efficiencies, how can you just operate more efficiently and manage your margins better. When it comes to production, understanding what the facility capacity constraints are, what's your utilization of your facility, and maybe there's some economies of scale that you could gain through increased production volume. So all these things are tied together, and obviously usually in the top of the mind of anybody managing this area. Demand planning, think about maintaining your grape supply, planning forward, know what your contracts are, know what the terms of the contracts are. There are, with technology today, you can organize your contracts so that you can look terms up very quickly. If you have contracts that may be expiring soon, you can look at which ones are and start planning in advance and maybe connected with that provider in advance, so you've got plenty of time to negotiate with them. And then in the area of the finance and accounting, we're all dealing with inflation. Obviously, it hits the finance world. Tied to that, direct impact from that is the banks. We've all lived through Silicon Valley Banks and First Republic's closures just recently. And so that's really put a spotlight on how to have diversification in your banking relationships and the importance of really maintaining strong relationships with your bankers, because this industry requires a lot of capital to operate. Next, we talk about cash flow management and your procurement process. So really understanding what's the flow, outflow, the inflow, procurement process. Do you have a PO system, a purchase order system in place? Do you have a practice requiring multiple bids so that you're getting the most competitive pricing? Do you have pre-approved thresholds that employees know they can order items up to a certain threshold before they have to turn to the accounting department, so they can really keep kind of the daily operations flowing smoothly? Inventory costing, probably one of the biggest laments I hear from winery owners or other employees in a winery is, I wish we really knew our costs. So it's becoming more and more critical to know what your margins are. With inflation and costs going up, we're seeing more and more margin squeeze. So identifying what your costs are by wine, by SKU, really gives you an idea of which ones perhaps you might even think about trimming from your portfolio, or which ones you might consider making more of. Financial reporting, managing your AP, your accounts payable, managing your receivables, really critical to see how quickly are you collecting versus how quickly are you paying out. On the inventory management side, there's a lot of cash locked up in inventory. You want to know your sales velocity versus available supply, and the systems that are in place now can help you forecast that. So how many months of inventory do you have versus how many, given your sales velocity, how many months of a given product do you have on hand? So are you going to run out, or are you going to have a buildup of inventory? Compliance reporting, there's a whole arena that managers have to deal with of alcohol compliance, so T2B, ABC. You've got your permits, your reporting, your sales tax, all compliance challenges for our industry. If you're selling a lot of wine direct to consumer across the states, and also see the three-tier system for trade, you've got basically a double layer of compliance to deal with. And then with technology, given it's always changing, there's always a challenge of just trying to stay on top of what is the system that we have helping us to be most effective today. Is it going to be because it's going to be able to fulfill what our needs are in the future? And if not, what are some better options? So I'm going to turn this over to Amy. We have a polling question.
All right, thank you, Bill. So our first polling question is, in what functional area of your business do you have your biggest information management challenges? And your options are production and operations, accounting and finance, sales and customer, people, and HR systems. And the polling questions are located right on the slides that we're presenting. So if you can't see it, you're going to hit the F5 key to refresh your console. We'll leave this up another 5 seconds. To respond, you're going to click the button next to the answer you choose, and then make sure you hit the submit button. All right, here are the results.
Interesting. All right, thanks, Amy. So production and operations, the highest response, pretty similar, almost equal balance to with accounting and finance. And I think that's what we quite often see is wineries will often keep their production records in Excel. But we're seeing an increasing trend toward looking at what other options are currently available. Accounting and finance, that's obviously a tremendous amount of data gets processed there. So that's very common to see challenges in that area. So if we take a look at just kind of summarizing some of the, I guess, conditions or issues that we encounter when we're helping clients, it's very common to find multiple systems being used. You have to maintain them. You have to train your staff on those. Along with that is these are typically function-specific systems. So maybe it's wine production software. You may have your accounting system like QuickBooks or AMS. But oftentimes these systems are siloed. They're not integrated. And in some cases, they're not even networked. So people have very limited access across different functional areas of the business, which means they're not able to access information sometimes when they need it. So whether that's on site or whether they're remote, the ability to access information just means they have to track somebody else down. It takes time, it interrupts other people, and it creates inefficiencies. When you do have multiple systems, especially when they're siloed, there's no integration, there's a tremendous amount of manual work involved in pulling information together. So if it takes too long to pull that information together, there's ramifications to that. Sometimes you can't take action in a timely manner, or you miss deadlines. Maybe you are supposed to be providing financial statements to your banker by maybe the 10th day of the following month. Those are the types of things that can really impact just the confidence that maybe a banker has in your business. And also from a management perspective, if information's old, it really affects the ability to make good informed decisions. And then if that information isn't complete, we're often typically dealing with an omni-channel environment where we're selling direct to consumer to a tasting room, to a wine club, maybe over the phone. Then you have your trade sales. Maybe those are being managed through QuickBooks, whereas the tasting room sales might be recorded on a certain POS system that could be entirely separate from the wine club system. So it just takes a tremendous amount of time to pull that information together, and oftentimes you don't have complete 360-degree view of what's happening across the company. And directly linked to that is inventory tracking. Oftentimes is not linked, especially in real time, to sales and non-revenue usage. So I remember working at a winery years ago where there was an order that came in for 200 cases from a distributor. The guy that took the tracked inventory tracked it on Excel. The salesperson asked, "Do we have the product available?" And the answer was yes. The next morning, the answer was no. The day after that, the answer was yes. And when the truck showed up at the warehouse to pick up the wine, they did not have the product. So pretty embarrassing for the company and a real lost opportunity. So winemaking records, I mentioned, oftentimes are kept in Excel. But when you have information that's oftentimes just on, maybe it's the winemaker's laptop, and sometimes it's not even accessible to the rest of the winemaking team, or maybe it's not networked. There's a lot of information in one spot that can be lost. And also, if there's a lot of information that's not captured when you don't have a production management software in place. And so there's a tremendous amount of information being carried around in the winemaker or the winemaking team's heads. And if for some reason that person leaves or gets hit by the bus, there's a lot of information that leaves with that person. So having a more robust system can be incredibly valuable to a company, especially when you're looking at trying to make your wines better. If you have a system that can archive information that you can look back on and identify what did we do, at what point did we harvest, what actions did we take on the winemaking side, because that wine really turned out well and you want to maybe replicate what you did before, having an archive, a good system where you can have a database to pull up and learn from is incredibly valuable. And it's very common that we don't see sometimes the skills that are needed in-house to really capitalize on the digital world, the opportunities and capabilities that it does offer wineries that do have those skills now. So when we think about the situations, the challenges that come up, what are some of the problems that emanate from just the underlying causes of not having some of these systems? So I'm going to run through a lot of the causes, and then we'll talk about the problems, and then we'll talk about maybe some of the possible solutions. So I talked about having standalone function-specific applications. There's no centralized database to really draw your information from. Oftentimes it's not cloud-based or even have remote access to the information. And oftentimes systems are not easy to navigate. So the information's there, but you can't get to it because it's not an intuitive. Maybe it's a code-based commands that you might have an old system that requires really being extremely familiar with the system to effectively use it. So if you have outdated software that lacks functionality, that's an area that I think with the pandemic, a lot of wineries were taking a hard look at how do we upgrade the systems that we have. And then there's always lack of training. You may have the best system in place, but if you don't have the people trained on how to effectively use your investment, obviously you're not going to get the benefits out of it. And then on the flip side, if you lack the technical skills to really utilize some of these emerging technologies, you're going to have some lost opportunities. So information is not networked. You can have a problem. I cannot access the information I need to run the business, or maybe I can't check in on the status of a fermentation, or check in on the status of an inventory item that I need to know about the availability and what's actually available to sell. And we talked about having partial information across the company, and you have to, obviously, with multiple systems you have to maintain. Those, you have to pay for them. You have to train your employees on how to use more than one system. And when you do have systems on site, this is another area, is just that increased heightened risk of data security as compared to if you have systems that are on the cloud. So really, there's three solutions here. You can have, if you have integrated, you can integrate the function-specific applications that you have, so application interfaces that can be written, or you can look at an ERP, an enterprise resource software that really already spans multiple functions. And Mike is the head of our IT team. He's going to talk much more in depth about these types of things. And then there's what we see a lot of, is people are still going through and manually downloading data from multiple systems. We're having to double enter that information. There's always the opportunity for data entry errors. And so it's just a very inefficient, slow, tedious, low value process that in today's world, we really don't need to deal with anymore. So I have two more slides here. We're going to talk about some of these other, talked about records being kept in Excel and this manual process. If that's what you're doing, these are some of the problems that surface from going this route. With an Excel spreadsheet, the moment you do some additional work, that spreadsheet is out of date. You often have maybe have multiple users of that spreadsheet. You can end up with multiple versions of it, and it just tends to provide limited access, especially if it's on one laptop and not networked. And when you do have errors, we have gaps in information, there's a multiple series of problems that can create. It fosters bad decisions because you're not informed. And really, it undermines confidence in the management. If you're ever in a meeting with an owner or maybe a board of directors, and you've just handed out some spreadsheets or information, and the first thing one of the attendees says is, "Hey, there's an error here in this financial statement," that just really undermines the confidence that they have in the systems and maybe even how closely are you as a manager checking this information. And it also creates friction between departments. If some inventory information isn't accurate, then the people responsible for maintaining the inventory get blamed, and the people that are on the sales side that need that information to make decisions or take advantage of an opportunity, it doesn't sit well with them when the information is not accurate. And then we talked a little bit earlier about stale data. Just really renders the company less competitive, and it's going to fuel poor decisions. And again, when you have these time-consuming manual entries, it's just incredibly inefficient use of time and people. Often, I know I've been in situations where we upgraded to a better system, and instead of taking 3 people in one department, 2 people could do the work. We freed up a whole entire person. So that's one of the things to think of when you're considering what types of return on investment can you get from the software. So the same 3 potential solutions. You can have your function-specific systems that are integrated. You can have an ERP system that's already automatically integrated across different functions, or you can have these manual systems that are just, again, prone to errors and very inefficient. And finally, last set of common causes that create other problems. Inventory and sales are not linked. You got a lack of e-commerce and social media skills. Systems are not able to report units with dollars on a report. And there's just sort of underlying belief that upgrading to a better software is just too expensive. So those things cause missed sales opportunities. They cause a lot of frustration with employees that are trying to help a customer fulfill an order. And then it just really reflects poorly in the company. You cannot give a prospective customer a very quick response and fill an order, or tell them, no, we're sold out, but here's some other options that we might be able to present to you. So it just really creates missed opportunities across all these functions, your customer relationships, your operational area, your financial area. Just, again, they can create inefficiencies and lost opportunities. And I bring up the fact that units oftentimes can't be reported on financial reports. Think of the fact that units are really the drivers. They're the leading indicators that really generate the financial results. So when you have reports that can generate both the units and the dollar detail, it just reduces the amount of time that it takes to do some analysis. Otherwise, you have to hunt for the units from other systems and then get an Excel spreadsheet out in your calculator and start doing some analyses that takes more people and time to collect and analyze the data. So again, I think thinking that it's too expensive to upgrade, over time, it just means you're just going to have increasing inefficiencies. The company's going to be less competitive if your systems are not up to grade, and you're going to be left behind. So really find a way to link inventory, sales, and uses of product in real time. Look at outsourcing the skills. Oftentimes, data analytics skills. There are increasing number of sources out there that can really help you, that you can tap. And you don't need them all the time. You just need them in specific occasions. And then also selectively train and recruit for the skills that you do want to have in-house. And just one final thing about ERP systems. They already have built into them, oftentimes, just really intuitive visual reports that maybe it's a graph or a table instead of a spreadsheet. It just frees up the entire conversation because it enables you to understand where things are trending, what KPIs, key performance indicators, are right there on a report that can immediately tell you how things are working and what actions you might take. So the other thing I wanted to bring up is a lot of people think software is too expensive, but costs have really decreased and the capabilities have really expanded. So as costs have come down, better software is really in reach. So reach out to IT experts. They can do cost-benefit analysis for you. They can tell you really what options are out there after they've done a needs analysis or assessment. And they can actually create a return on investment analysis and present it to you. And if you want, they can recommend solutions. You can do this in phases. Say, hey, help us negotiate with providers. Help us implement the system and help us train our people. And this is an area that Mike's team, our technology team, is very, very adept at. So, Amy, we have another polling question to run here.
All right, thank you. So the second polling question is, what software does your winery business use to track your DTC sales? And your options are AMS, Wine Direct, Commerce 7, Figure, Nexternal, or Other. And if you select Other, if you would just please enter what that Other is in the Q&A box so our presenters can see what software everyone's using. And while we're waiting, just a reminder, if you would like to receive CPE credit for today's webcast, you will need to respond to at least 3 of the 4 polling questions. All right, here you go.
All right. Okay, well, Wine Direct, 35% of respondents are using that for their DTC. AMS, been around a long time, and then Commerce 7. So we put these out as possibilities because these are some of the most common softwares that we find when we're out helping clients. It'd be interesting to take a look at some of the other responses that others are using. But Wine Direct does have a large share of clients in the industry, and Commerce 7 is on their heels as well. But we actually have the ability to write integrations to help. Mike's team actually has the ability to help write integrations with those software applications. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike Parker now. you can really start to dive into more details on the technology side.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. I really want to dive into how technology can help solve some of the problems that Bill just talked about. So dive right in. I think some of the key common challenges that we see as we look at technology is clear, accurate COGS, knowing exactly how much my cost of goods sold are, whether by packaging, by brand, by varietal, by every aspect of it, and really being able to understand where do I make my money and where does it cost me money, and really understanding that. So Bill talked a lot about this, the supply chain. Again, we had a lot of disruption in the last year and a half. So being able to tie purchasing, inventory, and supplier management all together, so you're not over carrying inventory. You're buying from the right vendors and getting the agreed to pricing. But also all that happens in real time, so that you're carrying the right level of inventory. You're not carrying excessive costs on your in your inventory or your warehouse. Taxation, always. Everybody has to deal with this. It's a complexity, just part of the industry, and definitely something that everyone has this challenge. Bill talked about this a little bit. Real-time info. Every winery that I know of today has different channels, different suppliers, vendors, potentially even different locations for inventory or production or both, and really having that visibility across those to really run the business is paramount. I had someone say you can't run a business looking through your rearview mirror all the time, and I think that's accurate. Is that you really need to understand where your business is in real time and be able to also even look forward into how's my business operating? Where is that activity coming from? Where's my revenue coming from? And make those forward-looking decisions on what grapes do I buy? Where do I buy grapes? If you buy, what wines I produce, where I sell it, things of that nature. So we talked about this same thing with data, is having access to that data across channels. Having marketing people see what sales is selling, having wine production see what's selling, having accounting see, again, spikes in costs of goods sold or inventory, things like that. So having really the data available to make the right decisions for your business is critical. Bill talked about this too. Multiple systems, multiple vendors, whether you have, your e-commerce, your DTC, your suppliers, everything across the board. So really being able to understand and get data to and from is critical. Again, understanding customer engagement, profitability, loyalty, looking again across your segments, and really understanding across your brands and things like that, and understanding what's driving your business. And then, what's your ROI in marketing? Are you spending money in the right place? Are you doing the right things? Is it driving revenue? Things like that. And so really a lot of these, there's many more I could go through, but just want to highlight a few that, again, I think Bill started to talk about that we see in almost every single customer. So what does this mean? I mean, really, at the end of the time, you need it simple. From an accounting perspective, I've got clients that have really large, complex chart of accounts because of, again, they want to report by, brand, by varietal, by channel, and the accounting process and structures become really large and complex because of that, unnecessarily. We talked about relevant and real-time data, and that goes across processes. So many times I see in the siloed system is data is available for that particular process or that particular area, but you can't really use it across your business. So having all of that in real time is critical to really moving your business forward. Collaboration, again, I talked about, our sales and marketing in line is your wine production and your sales and marketing in line. Is accounting aware of, kind of what's going on in the business, being able to track the health and wellness of the business. Flexibility and adaptability. Again, Bill talked about it's a different world, and it is. People expect data immediately. If you think about the growth of that in the last decade, and really being able to perform key activities, provide key information, automate processes to keep costs down, things like that, and then controls. You still have to manage your business in a manner in which you don't have errors, you don't have fraud, you don't have, and really you're secure with your information, with your customers' information, and really making sure that this technology that you employ in the business can do that for you. So the main idea here is really today, most of our people spend a majority of their time keeping the lights on and doing things manually, spreadsheets, just tracking day-to-day business activity. And the idea really behind technology is how do you allow the technology to take more of that? These are all ideal numbers, but the idea really is to spend more time making business decisions and managing the business instead of just performing the required activity and transactions to execute your daily business. So one of the things we always want to know in software is where can we automate? What information can we provide to make more timely and better decisions and get rid of the spending time in just keeping the lights on. And that's really one of our main goals in technology is helping our clients understand where those pockets of information of gain are and how to best get there. So the goal really is to replace, many of my clients have this, I call it a Frankenstein architecture. Bill kind of talked about this. You have many systems you probably accumulated through the years that do different things for your business, but they're either integrated together in a very costly manner. So you have a large IT staff, you have a very heavy need for IT in order to get anything done in the business, or they don't talk to each other. And you have data, or you have to drop it to spreadsheets and email spreadsheets. And again, data can't easily be shared across the business. So you want to get rid of this Frankenstein architecture and really go to a single source of truth. You want to be able to have everyone be able to look at their area of the business with the data they need in real time. That's, again, helps drive the business end to end. Because if any one of these is out of lockstep, your business hurts because of it, or suffers because of it. And you really want to make sure, again, each stakeholder, each process can execute efficiently, effectively, and provide data back into the business to operate the entire business. People, Bill talked about, there's an old cliche, people, process, and technology. They work all hand in glove. And really what you want is to allow the technology to automate as much of that as possible to effectively run your business. So now, Amy will go through polling question number 3, please.
All right, thank you. So the third polling question is, what software do you use in your winery business for accounting? And your options are QuickBooks, AMS, NetSuite, Microsoft, or Business Central, or other. And again, if you select other, if you could please put the name of the accounting software in the Q&A box so our presenters can see what everyone's using. All right, here are the results.
All right. Well, thank you, Amy. So a very big split. Not surprisingly, the largest is QuickBooks. I mean, it's obviously the most common in the world, but QuickBooks also has a lot of limitations. And particularly, QuickBooks is not an ERP system. So data has to get from your different aspects of your business, whether that be your e-commerce side or your operational side, or even distributors in a manual fashion, and also doesn't have a lot of controls. In QuickBooks, if you can see something, you can do something, and it doesn't provide a very safe, secure approval concepts, again, controls as you talk to your auditors. So let's talk about. So one of the things Moss Adams did is we recognize this in the market. Bill's been in the market for a long time, and really we wanted to solve this problem for our clients. So we created a solution called Barrel ERP for Wine to help clients grow and manage their winery better. So first of all, we built it on NetSuite, and kind of why NetSuite. So number one, we don't want to build things that are just common across the board. Financial. So we wanted a world-class leader. We wanted a market leader. We have a NetSuite practice. So we have a lot of expertise in this area. We want to take that expertise and apply it into wineries. We also know that there's a lot of unique and specific things that wineries do that are requirements or beneficial. And so we really wanted to leverage those core capabilities to give you a full platform. And that's important because no system in the world is going to do everything you want it to do out of the box, whether that's reporting or whether that's integrating to other systems or whether that's, again, communicating out to, be it EDI to vendors or to distributors to, there's a lot of aspects here. We talked about security, having having the right workflow and approvals so that your processes are effective and efficient. So we really wanted to leverage a world-class product to build out Barrel ERP that provided a solution specifically for the wine industry. So what would you expect with Barrel, and what do we provide with Barrel? So number one, and Bill kind of hinted on this, is the improved user experience. So many of our clients implemented their software 10 years ago. They have, again, different systems that, you require a user to log on to one or more different systems in order to execute their job or to get different information. Most of our clients end up in Excel because of workarounds. They have production data they need to get out, they have sales data they need to get down into a format that they can use within their business. And ultimately, many of the systems are just not intuitive. They're not. I mean, you have to train people on them. You have to have IT help to create custom reports. You have to have pull it to Excel to extract down to transactional level data. And really what you want is an easy to use system that is intuitive for your users, that minimizes the number of workarounds that they have to go through. The other thing is reporting. A system is only as good as the data you get out of it. And many times, especially the older systems, transactionally, there's nothing wrong with them. They still enter journal entries correctly. They still, post AP correctly. They will be able to track inventory levels if you want to track it. But the idea is the reporting is generally poor. And so what we want to be able to provide is, again, in that same system and using that same data, real-time reporting, whether that be, reports itself or dashboards that are tailored by role. If I've got a purchasing person, I want them to see purchasing information right up front. I want them to have a dashboard that's relevant to them. Same thing for a winemaker. Same thing for a salesperson. Same thing for a CFO. Really, you want that relevant information front and center to them so they can use it to make decisions. They shouldn't have to go digging in the system to go get the data they need to make the decisions required to execute their role. What's another thing that you want? You want to save money. I mean, doing manual processes is hard. It's expensive. You have a high error rate. And really what you want to be able to do is perform your core transactions better, faster, cheaper. And the way you do that is by automating this information, allowing the technology to do the work. Think through it one time, design to it one time, implement it one time, and then let the software manage the day-to-day to the extent possible and guide the data and the transactions through the appropriate workflow. So how do you get, again, purchasing? If I've got products, can I let purchasing know that we're getting low in inventory and I need to repurchase in order so I've got to make sure that I've got my raw ingredients there in real time. Bill talked about make sure glass is there before bottling. All of those are decisions that technology can manage for you. And it's thinking through how you want your business to operate and get rid of those bottlenecks. That fact that it sits on someone's desk or I need IT to do something for me is out of date, and it doesn't allow you to grow and continue to evolve your business. So this comes with just transaction costs. How much did it cost me to perform a transaction? Every hour someone does something manually, that's a hard cost. You want the agility in your business. Can I do things better, different, faster? So you want to be able to do that without the system being a bottleneck for that. Again, I talked about cross-process visibility. I won't go into detail there, but that's paramount in how you run your business. You're not one process. It takes every process and every visibility for your business to run effectively. And timing. When do those processes work? I talked about purchasing. If I use, ingredients when I'm making wine, how's that information getting over to my accounting group? Again, making sure I've got the right cost of goods sold. How am I tracking, my test production to get R&D credits? How am I, knowing when things go into a barrel, when it needs to come out? Again, alignment to sales to production. Things like that are all paramount to running an effective business and really being able to effectively scale your business. And then we talked about error rework rate. That's just human error. It just happens every time you've got people involved. So again, what to expect with NetSuite and Barrel ERP is we improve that. We have predefined processes that are built on leading practice, that are built specifically for wineries. And it provides that starting point. How can you have a process that works effectively? Do I need workflows? Do I need approvals? Do I need to pass data from one role to another in real time automatically? All of that is something, again, we work with our clients to understand, to define, to implement, and to train them how to leverage within their business. So again, it's not something that has to happen every single cycle. The other thing is anytime, anywhere access. If you think about the world, how many, 10 years ago, you would have probably called someone up and been on a call and trying to get, now you want data right then, right now. And if you have to wait for it, it's probably not, you're not probably very satisfied with that. And the same thing goes with your employees and your vendors and your customers. So the ability to have real-time data that can be accessed from anywhere, anytime, without the need for IT. I don't have to go set up, a custom web page. I don't have to go, provide reports to give my people data they can't go drill down on. I need to be able to go from a dashboard to transactional level data in a couple of clicks. And I need to be able to do that on anything. If I've got quality readings or I've got tank readings, why can't I just do that on a tablet? Why can't I just walk down and enter it in real time instead of walking down and enter it into a piece of paper or a spreadsheet? And so having the ability to have all the data that your business runs on available in real time by role that's relevant to that person is paramount to, again, your business operating effectively and being able to grow and scale and change, being agile. What things aren't working and I need to improve. So we talked about change and scale. Your business probably isn't the same as 5 or 10 years ago, and it probably won't be the same in 5 or 10 years as you look forward. So where do you need to be or want to be as a business? And your system should be able to keep up with that. And not only just keep up, should help you get there. And so many of my clients talk about their systems being an anchor or a bottleneck. And that should not be the case for technology. Again, the pace of innovation just in software and how software can help has dramatically increased. From having it in the cloud where I don't need IT people to having it where, again, I've got real-time alerts, I've got real-time data movement. That has just accelerated, and that's all a positive for your business. We talked about mobile access. Again, I don't need to have a laptop or a desktop. I can look on an iPad. I can look on a cheap Fire tablet. I can look on my phone. I can get the data I need to make the decisions my job requires in real time. Scalability. You want to grow. You want to do more. Maybe that's new brands. Maybe that's more varietals. Maybe that's looking at what varietals I need to hit the gas pedal on and what I need to back down on. But every business wants to grow and be more profitable, and software enables that, or it doesn't, and one way or the other. And we've created NetSuite and Barrel ERP to help clients be more scalable, to get do less about keeping the lights on. Adaptability. Again, everybody changes. Every business changes. How do you support that? How do you support better reporting, better financial controls, better, again, ties between operations and accounting, ties between sales and accounting, sales and production? All of these components in your business have to work together, and they have to adapt as the market changes, as your buyers change, as your customers change. All of that you have to be able to flex as the market flexes. And if you can adapt, you're probably either doing it manually or you're suffering because of it. Customization, everybody's like, oh, in software, that's a dirty word. It's not. And there's no system in the world that comes off the shelf and 100% does everything you want it to do. So having a software that can allow you to tweak it to do what's relevant to you is really important. And whether that's integrating to other systems or being able to create, again, custom reports or new transactions and processes. So what to expect? Lower IT costs, lower technology costs. Everything should be cloud-based. Get IT out of running your day in and day out. You have better security, you have lower costs, and you have better processes and controls because they're around about business processes. So I know we're running out of time here. NetSuite and Barrel ERP provides much of this out of the box. We talk to our clients about their business processes. We help enable it in the software, and we help connect other systems or other vendors, and really can help you do all the things we talked about, in essence, in one system. So with that, I'll turn it over to Amy for the last polling question.
All right, thank you. So the last polling question is, what software does your winery business use to track your wine production activities? And the options are Winemaker's Database, Innovent, FinTrace, Excel, or Other. And again, for Other, please enter the software name into the Q&A window so we can get an idea of what everyone's using. And then for those of you that would like a copy of today's slides, you can download them from the folder that says slide deck and handouts. And then we're also sending them out via email tomorrow, along with a recording of this webcast. All right, here you go.
So pretty much what we would expect. A lot of Excel, a lot of Other. I'd love to know what Other is, because I do think there's a lot of different products in this area. So yeah, thank you for that insight. So questions. I know we're running short on time. You see both mine and Bill's information. Please don't hesitate. Shoot us emails, call us, whatever. Would love to talk through your specific questions, understand more about your business. I do think it's, again, there's no one size fits all. Every business is different. What you're trying to achieve is different. So please reach out. We'd love to start a conversation with you and learn more and be able to answer your questions. And apologies, we didn't have a chance to get to that today. So thank you for your time today. Really appreciate everyone's time. And we really just look forward to hearing from everybody. And as Amy said, we'll be sending out a lot of data here in the next day or so. But always feel free to reach out to Bill or I with any questions or any way we can help. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Cool.